the channel, we catch up with Paul Bearer and The Undertaker from Jack's Classic Superstars 2-packs, Series 4, the Toys R Us exclusives.
The spirit of Ultimate Warrior will run forever!
Welcome everyone, Kyle here, and welcome back to the channel for another Jack's Classic Superstars unboxing and review. And today from the Toys R Us exclusive 2-pack Series 4 wave, we've got Paul Bearer, we've got The Undertaker. But for all your modern day wrestling figure needs, make sure you're hitting up Ringside Collectibles. Use discount code Kyle, save yourself 10%. Got to get a deal out there. And Taker and Paul Bearer, a 2-pack that's as old as time, I guess, is of course when people think of The Undertaker, especially old version of Undertaker, they think of Paul Bearer. The height of fame for The Undertaker, in a lot of ways, was his time with Paul Bearer. And Paul Bearer always kind of danced around The Undertaker in his life, be it when he's with Mankind and Kane. He was still in Taker's business one way or the other, and he is in this 2-pack right here. Now, an interesting one, of course, is Paul Bearer's figures were quite interesting in the Jack's Class Superstars line. And Undertaker, not a stranger to this line either. He's had many of figures over 2-packs, 3-packs, single card, exclusive, deluxe, you name it. He was in about every single line, as he should be, as, of course, one of the big Hall of Famers of the last, 20, 30 years of wrestling fandom. Of course, we're going to do this unboxing like we do all the other ones here on the channel. We're going to take a look at the packaging. We're going to talk about it. We're going to unbox it. We're going to talk about it. We're going to see where it goes from there. And I guess this kind of represents Tuesday night in Texas, the greatest scam of all time in wrestling, in an industry full of a lot of scams. I'll never forget getting Survivor Series as a little kid, begging my dad getting the cable box, bringing it home, doing the whole rigmarole with all that. I got it. And then everything was just crazy. And then all of a sudden we're going to redo this night. We're going to have more matches, do everything. It's like 2 days later, and it's going to be this Tuesday in Texas. And my dad said, absolutely not. We just got a pay-per-view. We're not getting another one 2 days later. And we're not going to pay for it 2 days later. And you got school the next day. So I was out, and I was very disgusted, very cheated as a little kid of that whole thing. But we do remember The Undertaker beating Hulk Hogan for the world title, of course. One of his many title runs over the years, and his first title run. And we do get that title belt with this figure in this pack here. So that Tuesday in Texas pay-per-view, boy, oh boy, did that get my blood boiling at an early age. But let's check it out here. Old Taker and Paul Bearer looking good. We got the urn, we got the title belt. Very cool Taker. There's some interesting stuff on this when we get him out of the package we'll talk about. On the side, Undertaker and Paul Bearer. A little glamour shot of the two right there, looking interesting. And on the back, we got the big cross cell down below. You got Paul Bearer, Taker, you got Hogan and Blassie, you got Colonel Mustafa and Sergeant Slaughter. We got the tail of the tape, blurbage, all that kind of fun stuff, and glamour shots up top. See what it says about Paul Bearer and The Undertaker. The Undertaker debuted in 1989, weight 304 pounds, height 6'9", finishing move, the good old Tombstone Pile Driver, Choke Slam, and The Last Ride. Titles, WWE Champion, Tag Team Champion, WWE Hardcore Champion. Paul Bearer, 1974 debut, career highlights, manager of The Undertaker, manager of Kane. And it's funny, I always talk about The Undertaker, how a lot of my friends never watched WCW, so it was a brand new character to them, where I always went back and said, oh, that's Mean Mark. And it always kind of took the bloom off the rose for The Undertaker for me, because I remember him as Mean Mark Callis in WCW. So that was always kind of disappointing, and I was a little bit jealous after all these years of all my friends on the old playground that got to enjoy The Undertaker for the first time ever and just kind of be a part of that. I was taken out of the game right away, it felt like, for me. But same thing happened for me with Paul Bearer, as I do remember him as Percy Pringle, GWF, USWA, Memphis, all over the place. GWF and USWA. It was the USWA wars with Eric Embry. What a time to be alive after school for young Kyle, running, sprinting home every day to catch some of that action. But of course, Percival Pringle, he had the big blonde dyed hair, things like that. So when Paul Bearer came on the scene, I was like, what is Percy Pringle doing here? What is going on? So it really kind of got my mind taken out on Paul Bearer as well. And I think all these years later, that's why Undertaker didn't quite connect with me, just because of my prior history with both of these performers. Maybe it's crazy. Maybe I'll go see a psychiatrist one day and really get down to the deep to it, and we'll film it for the channel. How about that? How about that? But Paul Bearer, manager of The Undertaker, manager of Kane, we already did that. So without further ado, going to get this out of the package here. Very cool set, of course. A lot of people want this. Obviously, the manager of The Undertaker, Paul Bearer. Very good to have. Taker, always good to have. See you later. Off the ceiling. Oh my gosh, watch out. It's crazy times down here. Little 2-pack there, and the first thing you notice is Paul Bearer is way bigger than The Undertaker. That's just a cardinal sin. That's so Jax, as people have been known to say, of course. Just a little bit disappointing, and we might even have some sticky disease. I'm hoping not, but we'll see. Let's pull that out. There it is. See you later. Goodbye. Let's look at these accessories first. We do get the urn. We've seen it many a times in Jax, but we do get an urn. Is fitting, of course, for these two. I like that as an accessory. And then, of course, you love the world title belt accessory here, representing Taker's first run with the title. The old winged eagle. Not the best version, but a pretty solid version. It gets the point across for sure right there. And I guess let's go to Paul Bearer first. We're going to go manager first. And I love how they kind of have his legs bent in the package, trying to make him feel shorter than he is. But he is an absolute giant. And I love this by itself. It's just the problem is you pair him with Taker or Kane or whatever, and it's just not even close. They're the same height, or Paul Bearer is taller, and that doesn't make sense. But an absolutely fabulous Paul Bearer figure on its own. You got the black outfit, of course, the black suit, white undershirt, the red tie. Beautiful Paul Bearer head sculpt. Looks like Paul Bearer all day long. Just an absolute fabulous figure on its own. It's just whenever you have him with next to anybody else, the wheels fall off the bus a little bit. But a very, very cool looking Paul Bearer. And I like that they even made his skin tone a little bit whiter than normal. So very kind of ghostly to match Paul Bearer. Of course, articulation arms do go around. Bicep cut, single jointed elbow, hands back and forth. Waist articulation, legs go up, legs bend, ankles back and forth. He's definitely not Spider-Man. That's for sure. But all day long, you know this is Paul Bearer. I guarantee you could hand this to people that are just casual wrestling fans, and they will know this is Paul Bearer. That's how good this figure is. It's just the height problem with this one. And speaking of, then you get the Undertaker, which is a great version of the Undertaker. This looks really, really good. A little bit incomplete, of course. But you put him next to Paul Bearer, and look at this. Whoa, as Taker takes the header. But look at that. That is just... It's just crazy. It's just absolutely crazy, especially for this time with Jax. I mean, Jax, they were known not to be perfect in their heights and stuff. I get that. But boy, this is really, really off. This is one of the worst ones right here. As Taker is so much smaller than Paul Bearer. Just really crazy. Almost looks like this is elementary school Taker is what this is supposed to be next to Paul Bearer. But this Taker looks good, but it is missing a lot of things like a hat. It's missing the big jacket. So it's really him in his ring gear. One big positive on this figure for sure is the skin tone a little bit lighter, much like Paul Bearer. But these boot covers being soft goods, got the stirrups on there and things. You really didn't see that hardly ever. Really, actually, this might be the only time we ever did see this. So I thought this looked really, really nice. Gives it a touch of class here. But in all honesty, I would have been okay with a cloth duster jacket instead of this. I don't know, but it's just very, very strange that they did do this, but they left so much like the hat out of the package. So a little bit strange there. We do get the tie. The tie is different than what we saw on the back of the package. That's not the end of the world, but it is definitely different. A good version of the Undertaker's head, very early Undertaker, kind of mullet action going on. Got the orange beard going there. We do get the tattoo on his arm here behind his gray gloves. That does look nice. Articulation can be the exact same as Paul Bearer, as we did talk about. A good version of Taker, just not a great version. And he's okay sitting here by himself, but when you put these two together, that's when the wheels fall off the bus. And it gets very confusing, very strange. It really misses the mark, unfortunately, on this set. So it started off really good. Two good figures. It's just the scaling is just all over the place and really messes it up unless you're going to display these by themselves somewhere. Then they're perfectly fine. But it is what it is. But what say you guys out there in YouTube land? What are your thoughts on these two? Any thoughts from the peanut gallery out there? I know a lot of people probably agree with the scaling issues that I brought up in this very video, but let me know your thoughts on this 2-pack from Series 4, the Toys R Us exclusive. Don't forget to like this video. You made it this far, you might as well. Subscribe to the channel. Turn on the old notification bell. As you guys know, we got videos every single day and then some. Oh, yes, and then some. And we got even more content, including all the videos early access to over on the Patreon channel. Truly your best way to support the channel and all of its content. And, of course, don't forget about ProWrestlingTees.com. Search Kyle Peterson. And then don't forget to follow along and hit me up over on social media as well. SirPaul64 on Twitter, Instagram, _Kyle_Peterson. So for Paul Bearer and The Undertaker, I'm Kyle. See you guys all real soon.